CIMS is the acronym for the Cleaning Industry Management Standard, an ISSA program. It's the first consensus-based management standard that is proven to outline the primary characteristics of a successful cleaning organization. And to talk about CIMS today, we have two people with us. Charlie Janowitz is the CIMS account executive, and Christi Redfearn is the Chief Strategy Officer with Redlee SCS Incorporated, which is a successful building service contractor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that's a long introduction, but enough from me. How are you both doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Very good, Jeff.
Good. Well, it's good to have you here today. Charlie, let's start with you. Tell us about your role with CIMS and what the program really does for contractors from your perspective.
Yes, CIMS basically is the best practices for a cleaning operation for building service contractors as well as in-house service providers. And what we strive for here at the association is to achieve a higher level of operation and quality of service. So there's 5 elements to CIMS that you have to complete certain requirements. And there's a 6th element, which would include the green building certification that qualifies you to market yourself as sustainable as well as fulfill the cleaning requirements for a LEED building. So in short, that's it. And I'm sure Christy knows the very specifics on the 5 CIMS elements. So I guess that's in short what CIMS is. Best practices for a cleaning operation.
We're going to ask Christy to say all those in order here in a minute. No.
Good thing we have our binders right in my office.
It's right there, huh? Well, Christy, we'll spend most of our time with you because we're spotlighting your company and yourself as a spokesman. Now, to get to know you, I kind of peeked at your LinkedIn page, and it says you have these abilities or qualifications. It's quite a tagline. I really need to redo my own tagline. It says you're a commercial cleaner, a coach, a speaker, a future CEO, a yogi, and an amateur road racer. Now, these are cool. I know Yogi is a bear who likes picnic baskets.
Yes,
That's as far as I know about that.
And his faithful friend Boo Boo.
Boo Boo, yeah. Boy, we're dating the cartoons. So it's interesting what you have on your resume. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and especially this amateur road racer, because I know people watching this program would like to know about that.
Sure. My name is Christi Redfearn, and I am actually currently transitioning to CEO of Redlee SCS. The company was founded by my father and grandfather, Chuck and Charles Redfearn, respectively. And they started the company back in 1982. We've been a family-run business ever since then. And now it's time for me to start taking over the reins. But as far as me personally, yes, I am an amateur road racer. One of the things that my father did while we were growing up was drag racing. So how do you rebel as a teenager when your dad's already really, really cool and teaches you about cars? You decide you want to turn instead of go fast in a straight line. So that's kind of where I went with that. We had to take about a 5-month break because of the pandemic, but I did finally get back on the track late last month, where we got to drive Circuit of the Americas, which is the Formula One track in Austin, Texas, getting ready for another race in a couple of weeks, and we'll go from there. It's a lot of fun because I'm usually the only female there, but that's okay. Maybe 1 or 2 every once in a while, but I'm also in a very male-dominated industry, so it's not something I am unfamiliar with. And then, you know, on the flip side of that, my yoga practice, been doing that for about 20 years. And it started out as a way to try and maintain my flexibility from when I was a gymnast as a child, and has very much evolved and taught me a lot more about myself and how to approach life than just getting into these bendy poses.
A lady of many talents and working well with what your goals are. Yeah. So it's nice to see what you're doing. This amateur road racer, you know, that's got to be good with physical distancing. You want to get ahead of everybody.
Yes. And it's great too, because I'm always wearing a helmet.
Yeah. So, and getting ahead in business is another goal of yours, I'm sure.
Yes.
All right.
Very competitive.
Yeah. Well, tell us about your pursuit of CIMS, why you did it, what was involved in the process.
So we first started looking at CIMS back in 2015. I'll be honest, it started with a client that we wanted to get, and they required it as part of their bidding process. We started looking into it a little bit further, realized I am also our company's lead AP, and realized that it was going the way of becoming part of the lead O&M checklist for the prerequisite. Made it a lot easier to just check the box than to necessarily go through the extensive green cleaning policy, which then gets audited by the GBCI for accuracy and all of that. But it was absolutely, we wanted the client, we knew it had to be done, and part of what was involved in the process was, you know, we helped realize that a lot of the things that were on the requirements, the shoulds, shalls, mays, we were already doing. We just needed to document it properly and make sure they were standard operating procedures across the board. So we spent about 3 months formalizing everything, putting it into the format that is laid out for CIMS. And then we had our assessor, Bruce Stark, come in and go through all of our paperwork first, training programs, HR, operations, and then he went and physically visited key accounts that we had to verify that we were doing what we said we were doing. So it's not just a rubber stamp. It was a very, very thorough process. And while we consider Bruce a great person to know now, we definitely had to win him over and earn his respect for him to sign off on our practices.
Yeah, I bet it'd be easier on everyone if it was just sign up.
Yeah, it would.
Sign up and run with it. All right, so this question might be similar to what you mentioned, but maybe there's some additional points. What are some challenges or concerns that CIMS has helped you overcome?
Yes, so I wouldn't necessarily say it showed us any challenges that we had to overcome, but it really verified that we were doing things the right way. Gave us confidence because, you know, it's easy to get caught up in the pressure of always wanting to get a cheaper price, cutting corners and that sort of thing. But it's always been extremely important to us that when we bid a building, we do it to the specifications. Yes, we may provide guidance on what those things are, but we do not like cutting corners. We want to make sure that we are paying our taxes, that we are organizing things in a way that is both efficient but effective. And, you know, sometimes when you always see somebody who do it cheaper, it can be a little frustrating. But after going through the CIMS process, it really reassured us that no, we don't need to get frustrated. We need to stay the course and things will come around.
Yeah. So this next question, I guess, would be more pre-pandemic because we'll talk about the pandemic in a moment, but how has it helped with your competitive angle in the marketplace?
Absolutely. So some clients demand it, as I mentioned previously. So it's definitely increased our opportunities with those people. For the people who don't necessarily know about it yet, it's a great educational tool because it gives us the opportunity to say an independent third party has verified that we are top tier in our operations. And so that becomes something that's very intriguing to them. And then it's a no-brainer for any lead building that we pursue.
Yeah.
Third-party verifications and certifications are becoming more mainstream. You know, you look at Home Advisor and what people are doing, you know, themselves, that when it comes to commercial entities, it follows the same pathway eventually. And so I agree with everything you're saying so far, Christy.
Yes, validation, which is good. Yeah. How do you use CIMS with your current clients? And maybe more on future prospect, but you know, if you already have them as a client.
Mm-hmm. Well, right, wrong, or indifferent, janitorial does involve rebidding oftentimes. And so being able to differentiate ourselves and maybe suggest here and there that they require CIMS as part of their bidding process, it definitely gives us the edge as far as qualifications go.
Yeah. And now let's talk about the pandemic. How has it helped you navigate through these months of issues that may still continue for more months? We don't know.
Right. Yeah, we're preparing to have at least this continue through the fall and winter and see where we are beginning 2021 for us personally. But as far as how it helped us prepare, it was never a question of what we needed to do. So because those policies and procedures already existed, we knew what we need to do to hit the ground running. All it was the how. How do we get the impossible to find pieces that we needed to get the job done? So the disinfectants, the PPE, how do we make sure we keep our employees safe who are going out and risking their health and safety cleaning up after a positive case? It's more, we didn't have to sit back and go, gosh, what do we do? We already knew.
That's comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah. One final question. It's about employee safety. That's, you know, before the pandemic hit, it was an important thing, but it wasn't something that we really focused on, at least that I saw. But it's a big concern now. What is your communication and action plan in using CIMS to do that?
So one of the things that we did is when this first started, we created a COVID protocol. It's a one-page document that one of our managers actually did for us that we thought was so great. We made it across the board. We trained all of our people on it, and it goes step by step on how to go through the cleaning process, making sure that you have the proper PPE, how to remove that PPE when you're done. And that was step one. And they also, all of our day porters received refresher training on hand hygiene and frequency of washing. We did a letter that we attached to everyone's paychecks where first I thanked them for everything that they did, because I'm so grateful for all of our employees because they really rose to the challenge, whereas some companies struggled with that. We were able to perform in very difficult situations, and that's all because everyone on our team is so great. But you know, it was an overview of what we were doing at the corporate level as well. So the meetings that we were having behind the scenes to make sure that we were procuring the disinfectant and the PPE that we needed, the road trips that some of our leadership staff was doing on the weekends because we didn't feel it was safe to move some of that PPE via UPS or USPS. So you know, we'd get a large shipment into our Dallas office, and a couple of our guys, one from Dallas, one for Charlotte, would meet in the middle and we'd do an exchange. So there was a lot going on behind the scenes that we wanted to make sure we reassured all of our frontline employees. We do monthly town hall meetings. Never thought that we'd be having virtual meetings so frequently, but it's a great way to reach out to everybody and tell them what's going on. And our HR department has been incredible in reaching out to our managers, checking in with our day porters to make sure that if a case comes up, they do get tested, they do follow the proper protocols. We make sure that they've been given their COVID pay and help work everybody through the process once they've been in quarantine for 14 days and they want to come back to work.
Well, it sounds like an outstanding company that you are going to be future CEO. You didn't say when that was, but I assume it's
next
coming. Next
year, about in 364 days.
Oh, yeah. You're not counting the days.
No.
Well, congratulations on that. Tell us, if you'd like us to share this, how to find out more about your company, maybe potential clients.
Sure. You can always check our website, redleescs.com. And we are on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. You know, we're usually a little more casual on social media, but the best way would probably be our main website.
Yeah, and it's Redlee.
Yes.
Redlee. Okay. I know people will probably just Google it and they'll find you easily.
I hope so.
Yeah. And Charlie, maybe you could wrap it up with telling us, how do people contact you to get more information?
Well, first, I do want to say thank you to Christy and Jeff for having us. Boy, you really did a great job of explaining how this has helped your organization.
Thank you.
One of the things I guess I'm taking from it is how important communication is. I mean, I think that's the downfall, and you can go from family to internationally. We don't communicate properly, and I think with CIMS, it opens that communication. So thank you for all of that. And speaking of communication, you'd want to communicate with me, certainly through the ISSA website. There's a certification tab. You can kind of find out more about CIMS there. You can certainly call in our 800 number and ask for CIMS or certification, or if you know me by name, Charlie. I'm the only Charlie here at ISSA. So that's another way to contact us. And certainly via email, charlie@issa.com. It doesn't get more simple than that. And I encourage everybody to certainly reach out to me to find out more about CIMS. And as Christy said, there's many benefits that, you know, aren't necessarily right on the table when you start, but when you're finished, I'm sure Christy can agree, there's many benefits, and even more now than before due to this pandemic. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said you're taking care of the employees in our industry. For many years, our industry was kind of like, you know, a low level type industry, where I think the importance now has come to the top, and we're in a great place to change the way the world views cleaning. Have you heard that statement before, Jeff?
Every day. Yeah, and it's the truth. It's a good point to bring up as a bonus. The industry is elevated, and we have to make sure it stays that way, even when, you know, the memories start to fade, and we know that will happen. But we don't know what's coming after this pandemic, and experts do talk about future issues. Not that we want to be morbid here, or Debbie Downers, but you know, we got to be realistic as well.
Yep. Yeah. It's been enlightening, because I don't like that it took a pandemic, but it's good that a lot of our clients are seeing us in a new light as experts in a professional industry and not a line item expense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Christy, appreciate you and Charlie for spending time here. What channel will you be on your next race?
I wish I was that cool, but I'm really still in the levels where there aren't a lot of fans.
Well, if you ever have a clip to share,
now.
if you want to share a video clip with us sometime, we'll make sure people see it. Right, Charlie?
I can definitely do that.
Absolutely.
All right. We both have a good day.
Thank you.